A contemporary thinker once said, "Life has a funny way of sneaking up on you when you think everything's okay and everything's going right."
Just a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about how my life was so good and perfect and how I expected it to be like that because everything was going so nicely and smoothly, and I thought it was all because I changed my mindset, so now there was no reason for anything and everything in my life to work. Well, just a week later, last week, I was graced by the gods of hell with a horrible thing that shattered everything that I thought I knew about the perfect life that I created because I'm such an amazing manifester and I'm such a good healed person. Oh boy, what a slap in the face. I saw my little perfect world go into the ground and I just felt that everything I was doing so far was complete shit. However, that's when I noticed that I deserve to suffer, and in a good way, and how that actually is helping me out in the game of life so much. And now I'll tell you why. Hear me out. I have always had a massive charge of negative energy towards my life. Everything I looked at was always so negative. And it has always been like that. It's been something that I've been trying to change for so long. And that somehow feels comfortable because it's what I know. Where my thoughts would be just like, if something good happened in my life, I'd be like, well, finally. And if something bad happened, I'd be like, of course it happened. That's always how it is. This is my life. This is how life is anyway. Nothing will ever change. Basically what I thought was the regular, the normal, was to be miserable all the time. And I was just honestly being ungrateful because I've always had such a great life. And I feel like bad things happen to us all the time, but we give so much weight into that. And then we kind of forget the good things that happen to us. And at the same time as it's comfortable, it gets really exhausting to be so negative all the time. In my last year of college was when I decided that I didn't want to have all that weight on me anymore. So I either needed to get better at doing this life thing and having better attitudes, or my entire rest of my life would just suck. So one day I was sitting in my car after college and I was crying, and I had that breakthrough moment come to my head that I'm sure everybody here has heard before, but I really felt it. And that is, you can't help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves. And that was honestly me. Now, obviously, nobody wants to suffer, and everybody wants to be happy and healthy unless they totally gave up on life already, which, trust me, I've been there. But it's comfortable somehow to live the way we're used to. So if we're used to living in the suffering and accepting it and playing the victim, we're never gonna get out of it. Everybody's like, oh, I wanna get better, I wanna do better. But I don't see people trying as much. And I saw that on myself. Like I wasn't trying for real. I have tried forms of therapies before. I have gone to psychiatrists in the plural, but nothing seemed to work. It's crazy to say, but deep down, I realized that I didn't want things to work because I just wanted to feel right about how life was just bad and how life just sucked, instead of having my life being better and feeling better about it. And I was so complainy also, like everything that I would see that could be helpful, I would find issues and problems in it and make comments about it. By the way, I see a lot of people on the internet doing that. I would do the same. I would be that person that's like, it only works if you're XYZ, but like it only works if you have this much privilege. It only works if you're this type of person. Even though I was just so tired of feeling shitty all the time, I didn't really want to change. I didn't really want to act better and actually work on myself. And really suffering made me have that breakthrough moment. I feel like when you're sad, you don't really feel it yet, but I hope you do, so you can experience that like, it wasn't even that problematic. I just decided in that day that I had my breakthrough moment crying in my car in college that I did not want to be that person anymore, and I just became a whole different person. I started to take accountability. I really looked into myself and saw the things that I was doing. I noticed how ungrateful I was. Like, it hurts to admit that I was so ungrateful. Luckily, I'm not anymore. And at that moment was the first time where I felt like I let go of resistance and negativity and the way I thought. It's really hard to change the way you think, but I opened my mind into just like receiving new things, seeing things in a positive light. I started accepting good things happening to me. I started accepting that I deserve them, because also, like, I would put myself so down with my self-esteem. I started accepting and taking advice instead of mocking it and trying to debunk it. I started to apply things within myself that I always criticized, really. And I started intaking that help, be it on the internet, be it by professionals, by friends. I started doing things that I just blocked myself out of, because I feel like that's it. Like, we block ourselves to feel comfortable. And when we experience really, really bad suffering, not our just usual everyday suffering, that's when we get the opportunity to see that that's not okay. We need to do something. I hyper focus on how to be the most evolved, better version being that I could possibly be. And I tend to hyper focus on things a lot. 6 months of my life, I ignored everything else and just focused on me. And then once I started putting that light into me and focusing on the way I reacted to things rather than the way things just happened in my life, things started getting so much better. And I mean, I felt like my mind changed completely from how I used to be. And it's weird, because one thing that I always remember being so frustrated about was to see all of these perfect people with their perfect lives put together. And one, thinking that it's all fake and bullshit, or two, thinking that their lives are so much better than mine. I just see now that no, like, you really truly can build all of that up. I really, really changed the way I think, and I could never see myself sad again. Little bad things were still happening in my life. I decided to just focus on the happy ones instead, and I decided to put the weight into the good things in my life to be heavier than the bad things, which is complete opposite of what I used to do. I felt life smiling at me. Now, maybe it was because of the way I was thinking, but my life just was so good for 2 whole years. It was just really like flowers and butterflies and everything being so awesome and nice. And then now looking back, I kind of feel like I've experienced the toxic positivity that people talk about. But it's okay, because the Delulu is the Salulu, and it was working out great. And then after 2 years of flowers and butterflies, this really bad thing happened to me. All of a sudden, it felt like those 2 years that I thought my life changed, and I was being so good, and I was getting so far, and I was collecting so many good things off of it. I felt like it was worth nothing. I felt like a fraud. I just started feeling like I would feel 2 years ago. And I was living what that contemporary thinker once said. I try so hard and get so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I kind of gave up. Again, why me? Why do these things keep happening to me? Now, obviously, I didn't think that I deserved to suffer at all. I was having a blast. I was having a great time. I was doing everything on my reach to become so happy. I was doing all of those things that self-help books were telling me to do. Then why wasn't it working? And then I realized a pretty cool thing. So I got the heavy news. And then the next day, I called out of work, and I was just laying down and crying all day. The next day, I just slept all day. Like, I slept for the entire day because I didn't want to accept the reality that everything that I've built, everything that I was doing, everything that was going so well was just going down. And I was feeling such exaggerated feelings about all of that. Like, I slept all day. I didn't eat anything. I even vomited the next day for not eating. And when I was asleep, I could just deny that there were any problems there and I didn't have to go through reality. So halfway through all that suffering, I sat with myself, like having a conversation with myself, and I said, I will allow you to feel all of your feelings right now, but tomorrow you will wake up and everything will be over. You will be fine. And weirdly, I woke up the next day and it felt like a hurricane had seized. Like I consciously, weirdly decided that I had suffered enough and that it was time to move on. I realized that we don't allow ourselves time to suffer. Like, we don't allow ourselves to process our emotions and our feelings. Sometimes it's okay that nothing is okay, but if you keep dragging that feeling, that's when you keep piling up your bad feelings. And had I not gone through that, I would never realize that. And I think it's so important to validate our feelings. Of course, had I had better control of my emotions, I wouldn't have gone through that in the first place. But this experience helps me to realize that that's what I still need to fix on myself. Like, I got to sit down and suffer and feel all of those feelings. And of course, at first, it just felt like the old mindset that I used to have of like, yeah, everything sucks, nothing gets anywhere anyways. I tried so many things and I'm still in this stupid damned position. That's not what it was. It was such a good opportunity for me to see how much work I still have to do. While I had the feeling that all of the work I put into myself wasn't going anywhere and didn't get me anywhere, I actually saw that all of the time that little me spent studying how to get better, reading books to get better, and applying the things that the book said, all the time I put into deciding that I was happy, being delusional, treating myself kindly, because I was so hard on myself, gosh. And I felt really proud because the old me probably could have never thought that. Like, she wouldn't even be here today, honestly. So I was able to see how well all of the work I put into myself is working so far. I have so much more room to improve, and I kind of thought of that like a video game. Like, you know how a video game has a lot of different levels, and then it starts super easy and then it starts getting really complicated. You have the levels, and the first levels are super easy and fine, like, oh yeah, being grateful, cool. But then you kind of advance through life and you're graced with harder challenges and different challenges. And the more time and practice you put into the game and the more hours you're addicted playing that game, the better you are. And even if a phase is really hard, you go through it super easy because you had all of that practice, you had all of that research. If you really try, if you really put effort into it, you can beat the game. When really bad things happen in our lives, they take us even out of the comfort zone of the bad things, because that's when you're like, wake up. All of those bad times, even though they suck, they're so good for us to get ourselves and put ourselves into such a better place. All those times that we suffer, that we experience discomfort, are times that we change. I, of course, also noticed how we let external things affect us so much when truly most things that happen in our lives and our biggest battles are just here. They're inside here, and it sucks and it's tiring and it's scary, but it's all here. It's all about the way you react to things that are thrown at you. No matter how hard the thing you're going through is, you can make it, you can get it out of there better than when you got in. And I believe in it. Like, try to find treasure in the trash always, even if it feels like toxic positivity. Like, try to see how bad things can help you, even if you can't, even if like at that moment, like if you have a terrible emotional regulation like I do and I didn't even know, you can try to figure out what you can do a little after you suffered. And if you allow yourself to be sad a little bit, it will go away. It will go away really fast, because you're gonna process that feeling and you're gonna let it go. I heard this somewhere someday, I think it was from a YouTube video, I couldn't really tell my source, but that is, you have already gone through the worst thing that has ever happened in your life and you survived. So I don't know, but I think that makes you really tough. And from my own little baby experience, I've always came out of bad moments much stronger than before and much happier than before. And that happiness carries it out if you find out that you have to face another bad event in your life, because you already have that preparation, you already have that within your heart, that you can do things, and the only times where bad things are bad to us is if we decide that that bad thing is going to impact our lives in a way that is too powerful. Like, it's just the power that we give to the things that happen to us. So just allow yourself to suffer, baby. I promise you that sitting down, feeling those feelings and letting them go and waking up stronger will make a whole world of a difference. You will see that all of the work you put into you is indeed working. So you deserve to suffer too. Nobody does. But if we don't, we're never truly going to grow as big as we deserve.
And life has a funny, funny way of helping you out. Helping you out.